Welcome to Grassroots Radio Colorado, the Thursday edition. This is Kris Cook, and I am so pleased Andy Pate agreed to come in an hour early and co-host with me this evening. Andy, welcome to Grassroots Radio.
Well, thank you, Kris. Good to be here.
I'm glad that you're here, and I know that you have a little bit of a cough, so even more grateful that you've come in.
Oh, yes. Well, and the people here at the station have been great, giving me, sore throat drops and all this. As I was telling them, there is never a time when you can have too many drugs. Never. And I just... it's been wonderful. They've been very good to me.
Yeah,
and all
the
this
drugs
stuff,
or the people here at the station.
Everything they're giving me, I think I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to be when I leave tonight.
Should be very interesting second hour for sure. You're always entertaining, but on drugs, this should be great.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. I don't know if you had an opportunity to listen to John Rush's show. He's on right before me on Rush to Reason from 3 to 6. And John, if you don't listen to John's show, you really should. He brought up a really, really interesting question today.
Okay.
And I'd like to continue that conversation with my listeners because it's something that I actually want to hear the answer to. And John's question was, does negativity in conservative talk radio make it harder or more impossible for us to get that liberty message out? What do you think about that, Andy?
Well, I think it can and it can't.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, look, negativity in and of itself isn't a bad thing.
Right.
I'm a born-again Christian. Jesus said, you brood of vipers, you whitewashed tombs. He overturned tables. I think there's a time when you've got to be forceful. And when you are speaking about bad things, evil things, you have to be negative. You have to call them out.
You have to call them what they are.
Exactly. But when you're talking about your audience, okay, let's say I'm trying to persuade person A that politician B is bad. B
right.
for bad. Okay. Well, I think it's really important that I find ways to put person A at ease.
Okay.
And not just blast them and say, I hate person B. I can't stand person B. I can't stand person B. Person B is evil. What do you think?
Well, is it productive in a situation like what you just outlined? Is it productive to have the conversation about how person B or politician B's activities have harmed our principles, the individual that you're speaking to? I mean, is that an appropriate time to point that stuff out, or do we have to whitewash it and ignore it?
Oh, I whitewash and ignore everything.
Oh.
No. No, of course, it's a great time to do it. The one thing I try to do, though, is I want to first, with the person I'm talking to,
sure,
connect with them.
Okay.
I need to build up trust with them. They need to know that they can trust me. So when I say person B is bad, they know that I'm not just, reading out of my scripting. They know I'm not just reading out of my bias.
Right.
And
you're not just reciting the talking points of the day.
Exactly. So, if I'm talking to, that's why when I'm talking to, say, a young person, we'll talk about that in the second hour. I want to tell them, look, I know why you feel the way you do.
Right.
I know why maybe you like Barack Obama. And I understand. And there's some good reasons. I don't like him. Okay. I shoot straight with him. I don't like easing in.
Sure.
The truth later. I like shooting straight with somebody up front. It's like when we talk about abortion and I'll say, look, I'm pro-life, but I love the reason you're pro-choice. You don't want the government telling a woman what she can do with her body.
Right.
That part I agree. And then I go into and say the things I disagree. I think we need to connect with people, show them that we are a trustworthy voice, but then absolutely at times you have to be negative. How can't you be?
Well, and that's... I guess there's a bit of a dilemma when you get behind this microphone because you're not face to face with the person that you're talking to. I'd love to be one of these days. We need to do a happy hour remote one of these days from a brew pub or something. That would be really, really fun.
Or we could just bring the entire audience in here.
We could, but it would get, I'm hoping it would get a little crowded. Maybe it wouldn't. I don't know.
See how many we could stuff in a Volkswagen or in this room. I think that'd be kind of fun.
Maybe there's just 4 and I guess we have chairs for everybody. So,
ooh.
But it's, you're at a little bit of a disadvantage because you're not talking face to face. It's a
right.
2-person conversation, but it's a one-way. And so assessing how you're going to get that message across, how you're going to establish that credibility, which I hope that I do on a daily basis. And if I don't, guys, if you don't trust me, if you don't like what you hear, give me a call and let me know. Not just now. I mean, you can call now if you want to, 303-477-5600, but anytime. I mean, that's what I'm in here for, is to have that conversation, and that opens that up. So if I'm not making that empathetic leap, if I'm not, doing those things to establish that credibility, I need to know that. But from all accounts, I am. And the way that I see, I guess what it boils down to is this, is what is my job? As a talk radio host, I come in here, I sit behind this microphone. What is my job? And when you listen to talk radio,
right,
what are you looking for from the host?
I'm looking for insight and inspiration.
Okay.
And you bring a lot of those. And I'm looking for somebody who can bring me insights I haven't thought of before. And I'm looking for somebody who can inspire me and move me to want to act on these things. First, help me to understand them with your insight, then move me to want to act on them. And that can be done. Is that generally done positively or negatively? I like to lead with the positive, but you have to have the negative.
You got to point out what the outrage actually is.
Of course.
You have to.
One thing I like to do, let's say we're talking about our party, okay? And you and I have a lot of issues at times with the party.
Right.
Well, here's the thing. I like to say, okay, here's a positive way I would like us to handle this situation, or this one, or this one, or this one. And I only ask one of two things. First, will you guys listen to me? Will you interact with me? All right? Here's a way I think we can push liberty. And if they come back and say, okay, but you can't push that hard because, the audience isn't ready for it. I always use the example of,
we hear that all the time.
Yeah. I always use the example of, a minimum wage.
Right.
I'd like it gone. Somebody says, Andy, if you try pushing that on them, they're going to throw you. Okay. I'll listen. We'll go back and forth. But if somebody is walling out your positive influence, if somebody's walling out positive words, at some point you have to be negative. You have to call that out.
I agree. I agree. And there's a lot of outrage, and there's a lot of reason to be outraged in this world. Part of what I view my job is, you said, to inspire and give insight. Part of that inspiration is trying to motivate folks to get out and do the things that need to be done. And anger is a powerful motivator. It really is a powerful motivator. That's what gets people to rallies. That's what gets people to call their congressman. That is what gets people to actually take action. And solutions-oriented radio is what Grassroots Radio Colorado is all about, is finding those solutions and impelling people to take that kind of action.
Well, let me ask you a question, though. Maybe you'll want to answer it in the next segment.
Okay.
Don't you think some radio hosts, though, jump straight to the negative for ratings?
If it bleeds, it leads.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right. And
I get that.
I know of websites or radio show hosts who build everything on they get to be the negative, taking down somebody else.
Right.
And that's how they build themselves up. And my goodness, isn't that what we do in schoolyards?
Some of us do, and some of us were the victims of that. There's absolutely no doubt.
No, one reason I'm really proud of what happens here at KLZ is I hear a lot of leading with the positive, but then not being afraid to bring the negative when the positive, not just when they won't do what I want. That's selfish. But I mean, when they won't interact.
Right.
Okay. I think there's a blend of the two. I think that's good. I think it builds us up. It's just like if a child is bad, I don't think it's wrong to discipline the child. If a person, it won't listen, I don't think it's wrong to maybe say something negative to awaken conversation.
I think you're right. We've got Tom from Aurora on the line, and we will get to Tom after the break. We've got some lines open, so give us a call. 303-477-5600. Is negativity in conservative talk radio impeding our ability to get out that liberty message? Impeding our ability to win? Let me know. I'm Kris Cook, and I've got Andy Pate in studio co-hosting with me. You're listening to Grassroots Radio Colorado on KLZ 560. KLZ 560.